Hey, how you doing, awesome folks? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn. If you're watching this, then certainly you want to talk about next week and what we can expect to happen. And you couldn't be in a better place. But first, I would like to say thank you to the amazing and awesome people that continue to show support with comments, likes, and subscriptions. Without you, I wouldn't be doing this. So thank you so much. This episode is brought to you by Wordy. All right. It is an awesome social media site that doesn't want to destroy your attention. It seems like a lot of these social media websites are just throwing so much stuff at you. It's sensory overload. And Wordy is the exact opposite. When you go to this site, you will see one thing there, and that is messages from the users. And I implore you to create an account and leave a message so that when people show up to the site, they can see your singular message. All right, here we go, folks. Thursday's episode has just concluded, and it was a awesome episode. We had a lot of revelations that came out, and some of those revelations include a new alliance, and that is called the After Parties Alliance. I checked online, and it seems as if many people are going with the After Party. I heard them say the After Parties Alliance, but I wasn't sure if I was hearing things or if this was actually what they called themselves. The After Parties Alliance consists of Kyle and Alyssa, Turner, and Terrence. What do you think about the After Parties Alliance? I'm sure that most people will deem them the villains. The way that the edit was done, it certainly lends to them being the villains versus the good guys, and that being the leftovers, that being Michael, Brittany, um, Monty, and Taylor. All right, you got those two forces battling it out. And in this episode, I want to really look and take a deep dive into these two alliances and see if we can find any gaps before they're revealed through the live feeds or on Sunday's episode. So you can look at this episode right here as like an ESPN for Big Brother because we're going to really take a deep look in here and see what we can find. So let's go ahead and go over this again. Okay. We got the leftovers, which is Michael, Taylor, Brittany, and Monty. And you have the After Parties Alliance, is what I'm calling them until I find out otherwise. And that is Kyle, Alyssa, Terrence, and Turner. I want to look at matchups. Okay. And I want you to help me out with this. Most people are asleep right now. It is 11:27. I am the only individual on the planet. I'm just kidding. I'm not the only person. Everybody loves BB. But here we go. Let's look at the individual matchups and let's see if we can figure out who has the advantage when it comes to this alliance. Okay, so for Michael, who does Michael perfectly line up with the After Parties Alliance? And I would love to hear your answers if you would like to go to the chat. But until that happens, I have to say that Kyle is the perfect matchup for Michael because, in my opinion, Kyle is no. I think it's pretty safe to say that Kyle is the leader of the After Parties Alliance, or at least he's the player that is, has galvanized this particular club. I think everybody is rallying around the fact that Kyle spilled the beans, and also he was a target by Joseph. He was targeted by Joseph, and you saw that Turner, Terrence, and Alyssa defended Kyle once that happened. So I would argue that Kyle is the leader of the After Party Alliance, and as such, I think Michael and Kyle would be a great matchup. And in that case, or in this case, who do you see winning, or who's played the better game to this point between Michael and Kyle? Are we being? Did I convince you that I was serious? Or no? Of course, Michael wins that matchup, in my opinion. If you think otherwise, I have to hear why. How does a guy who's won? Has he won anything? I don't think he's won anything. I don't think he's won anything. How does a guy who's won nothing, and if he did win anything, maybe one competition somewhere, how does that player outrank someone who's won six or more? Is it more now? I think it's like six or more. I'm not sure. I've lost count. All right. Next matchup, I got Taylor. Who's the perfect matchup on the After Parties Alliance that would match up perfectly with Taylor? I would love to hear your opinion on this, but here's what I think. I think that the perfect matchup would be Alyssa. Okay. They're both beautiful women. They're both strong women. They're both tall. They kind of have the same build, in my opinion. So I think they kind of mirror each other. They're almost like the polar opposite. They're the same. It's like looking in the mirror. So when I say opposites, I don't mean different. I mean just left to right opposites. You know what I mean? So I thought that would be a good matchup. Okay. And if that is the matchup that we're going with, Who wins that matchup between Taylor and Alyssa? I would love to know what you think about that. But for me, I think that the answer would be Taylor. Taylor has won at HOH, and she's definitely been pretty thorough when it comes to social gameplay. All of her enemies are gone. I mean, 6 people targeted Taylor and 6 people left consecutively. All right. I would argue that Taylor had just a little bit to do with that, just a little bit, not much. All right. And whereas Alyssa has played the showman's game, usually the player that is the least dominant gets the bad end of the showman's, gameplay. A lot of people feel as if the other player is protecting them. So you have that. But then again, hey, she's still in the game, so she made it to top 8, and she'd probably go much further than that because I don't see whoever winning the HOH targeting her specifically. So she's probably gonna make top 7 at least. Okay. Next, I got Brittany. Who's the perfect matchup for Brittany? This might be something that most disagree with, but I'm gonna say Terrence. And the reason I say Terrence is because, in my opinion, they've played very similar games. That meaning not winning much and, just slightly changing the game in certain areas. Now, with Terrence, he has not been changing the game or even affecting the game until last week. But I would argue that Terrence's last week was just as impactful as Brittany's entire season. Look, I know Brittany has huge fans out there. She even won the backstage twist thing where she was voted safe. I think people are in love with Brittany the person, and I want to make sure that those individuals who are watching this understand that I'm not attacking her as a person. I think she's pretty awesome, in fact. But I'm saying that I haven't seen enough from her gameplay wise to warrant her as a serious player. Though the same thing, or like the same thing I said with Alyssa, she's made it this far, so you have to give her some credit. But a lot of people, and I've seen this pop up several times online, a lot of people see that her gameplay is simply due to the fact that she's hiding under Michael. Okay, that's debatable. Some people even said that they think that she's the better half of Michael, meaning that when Michael was going to make bad decisions, Brittany was the one who talked him off the ledge and say, "Hey, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea." So it just really depends on which viewpoint you take. But for me, and no one's in the chat, so I have to make this isolated decision here. I'll say that Brittany has played a game that's less than stellar on the account that she's pretty much in a showman's. I mean, it's a no man's. I always call it a no man's when 2 people are online and they're not really in love. It's like a no man's, nothing's going on. But anyway, I would call it that. And I would say that her perfect match would be Terrence. And for me, I would say that this is going to anger some folks, of course, but I would say that Terrence has won that head to head. Why? Because Terrence's peak is much higher than Brittany's. Brittany's game has been right in the middle, and I know as a watcher of these types of shows, being in the middle is not a bad thing, but it never wins. It never wins. Most people will call her out on that. If she makes it to the end, there's no way she wins unless she's up against like the most polarizing figure in the game, and they just suck at the finale, and they just can't defend their moves or something like that. It does happen sometimes, but the player that floats in the middle, and Michael will certainly get a lot of praise as being her protector. So but I've also heard individuals say that Brittany is Michael's bulletproof vest. I had to let that sink in a little bit. Some people say that Brittany's been Michael's bulletproof vest, and to that I say both can't be true. So for those who hate Brittany's game and say, hey, she's riding the coattails of Michael, how could it also be true that Michael is using her as a shield? It's like both can't be true, and I'm really interested in seeing what people think about that. All right, so I got Dr. Jawan here. Brittany will make a big move soon. She knows she can't win against Michael. All right, okay. This is why I'm doing this live. I don't pre-record these things because I want to hear people's opinions against mine. I like that viewpoint. And I can see it. I can see it. But here's my question. And did you know this, Dr. Jawan? I've heard in the Big Brother streets that Brittany, out of her own mouth, has said she is happy to come in second to Michael. And when I heard that, someone brought that to my attention as I was in my Facebook group. And they said that Brittany said on the live feed, because I don't watch them, so they had to tell me. They said that she said it, and she was talking to Michael. You know how they just sit in the room, just talk. she said that I would be happy to come second to you, and I'm gonna. She said, I think they said that she said she admitted to playing his game. I said that can't be true. I haven't. I need to see that with my own two eyes. But if that is something that she said, to then turn around and take a shot at Michael, that would be surprising to me. But you can make the argument. I like to look at everything from both sides. I don't want to presume that I'm all knowing, because I'm not at all. But maybe that's just a part of the plan to make him feel as if he's entirely safe. And Brittany could be that person. If there's anybody that could act as the kryptonite to Michael's Superman, it is Brittany. They say that the people closest to you can do you the most harm because you allow them in. Even somebody who's very protected, who doesn't allow a lot of people in their lives, the only people that can hurt that person is the person that they trust. So there you go. I mean, that's the angle that could potentially hurt a Michael. But in that case, I still say Terrence beats Brittany, and here's why. Because Terrence has peaked. He has an HOH win and he has a veto. I believe that both of those wins puts him over Brittany, because I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know for sure, but I do know for 99% sure, 99.9% that Brittany hasn't won anything. But I could be missing something, and correct me if I'm wrong. And because of that, you can't. I'm not a biased person. I'm looking at it straight down the middle. If one person's won two vetoes, one person's destroyed. You got to give him some credit. Terrence is the destroyer of the leftovers. Does that not count for anything? He's destroyed the leftovers. He did some kind of, to make Kyle feel as if he can, shed and reveal the entire leftovers alliance. Who did he reveal that to? He revealed that to Terrence. That says something to me. He made them feel as if he was so cool and so not a threat, and that they could reveal the entire. They blew up the whole thing on Terrence's HOH. So again, those things for me put him above Brittany. My opinion, of course. All right, then you have Monty versus Turner. Those are the only two players left. And I'm going to be honest with you, for this matchup here, it's a wash for me. And that being is because they both won one HOH, and they both have kind of coasted in spaces. I would argue that maybe Turner has the slight edge in terms of America's favor. A lot of people like Turner's game. I've seen his name pop up quite often. I don't hear a lot of love and even respect for Monty's game overall. I respect it. That's just my opinion. I thought that for a minute he peaked and he, really had some control in the game, but then that kind of just withered away, and he kind of went back into his role of doing whatever Turner and Michael were pretty much suggesting. Basically the smart game. I'm not throwing shots at Monty. It's pretty smart to stay out the way. Affect the game while you have the power, but when you don't have the power, get out the way, go to the back and give suggestions. I don't have anything negative to say about that type of gameplay, which is why I'm willing to say that matchup there is a wash for me. Okay. All right, Dr. Juwan, I'm back on you here. Yeah, I agree. Terrence would win over Brittany. Count wins are important these days to jurors, and Terrence took out a big target in Joseph and got Kyle to self-destruct. Beautiful wordplay there. That's exactly what Terrence did. And I'm not sure that he did it on purpose, though. What's his name? DJ Showtime would say he did it, and he had this whole thing figured out. You know how he is. But I would doubt that he had any clue that Kyle would do something that drastic. So I have to agree with you on that one. Self-destruct is a perfect way to call that move right there for sure. Terrence has so much information to blow Kyle's game up and start a war between the leftovers, and Terrence can hide in the shadows again. Absolutely. But I'm gonna be honest, I would be, if you watch this last episode, you saw him, it looked like he wants to go on the front lines with this new after parties alliance, and that's what I'm confused about. I don't know what Terrence sees that I'm missing, because you're trying to interject yourself into a showmance and a bromance, because Kyle and Turner have a bromance, and then Kyle and Alyssa have a showmance. Terrence, you're the fourth wheel. Wait, the fourth wheel. It's actually the fifth wheel, isn't it? But the point is, he just doesn't fit in that equation. And though they'll use him for as a number to actually compete with the leftovers, I don't know that in a battle royale between the four of them, they would even consider putting Terrence in the top three. Okay. And I think he's missing that point. It's just he's not getting that. He has no shot. He's the low person on the totem pole in this alliance, and he's going to get crushed at some point. But you can't tell him this. So if you look at those dynamics, you look at those numbers, Michael beats Kyle, Taylor beats Alyssa, Terrence beats Brittany, and then Monty and Turner are a wash. That is a 2-to-1 ratio there, or a 2.5 to a 1.5 ratio. I'm just going to go 2-to-1. And as such, in my opinion, the leftovers, the traditional leftovers, would wipe out the after party. That's just what I'm basing it on. I mean, I'm basing these matchups off of what I'm seeing, and that's what I see. All right. And let me know if you agree or disagree on that. All right, here it is. All right. I mean, I'm back to Dr. Juwan. For anybody watching this, it's just me and Dr. Juwan here. We just kicking it, talking about some BB. All right. Here it is. I mean, Terrence is desperate for numbers. He either got to work with the after party or he's potentially next. You're correct about that, in my opinion. You're right. He definitely, maybe he's playing the game, because he's definitely surprised me this last week with his gameplay. I was someone who was very critical of him, and I've been very critical of Brittany as well, but they both surprised me in a lot of ways by making it this far. If you would have told me that Brittany would be in the top 8, and if you would have told me that Terrence would out survive or outlast Joseph, I would have said you couldn't be serious to both of those outcomes. And here we are. So, maybe Terrence understands that, hey, I have no choice but to join up with the After Parties Alliance, because otherwise it's going to be 7 players against me. And I think he makes the right choice in this case. Let's just play along. And then here's the thing, Dr. Jawan, I'm gonna kind of piggyback off what you said. Once he goes back into the house, even if they expose this alliance and say, hey, we're the after party, we're going against you, they're still not, the leftovers are still not going to target Terrence at any point first, because hey, you got Kyle and Alyssa still in the game. You got Turner still in the game. You got Michael, you got Monty, you got Taylor. These are all threats that are perceivably bigger and better than Terrence. Terrence could very easily, and Brittany, for all intents and purposes, very easily slide into the final 4, final 3 by virtue of just not being on the top totem pole. So, yeah, that's an interesting dynamic there. All right, but I think we can all agree. And before I say that, I just want to point out something. I did mention, and Dr. Joanne, you can let me know what you think about this. I did mention the concept or the idea that the after party could go back into the house with the leftovers and keep the issues and drama private. Because one thing about it, the leftovers have no idea what happened between Joseph and the rest of the house on the outside of the house. They have no idea. So could you imagine a scenario where Turner and Kyle go back in and say, hey, Terrence is the one who destroyed everything. He's the one who got rid of Joseph. And of course, Alyssa, she wouldn't say much or do much, but kind of just play the role that she has continued to play, which is just out the way, low key. And if they were to buy that, they could grab intel from the original leftovers and bring it to the after party and do what the leftovers have been doing the entire game. I would like to see that play out, but I'm not sure that Michael would be fooled by that. All right, I'm back over here. Dr. Joanne says, I could see Turner down the road that Alyssa is more important to Kyle and may turn on Kyle and go to hold on, wait. I could see Turner down the road that Alyssa is more important to Kyle and may turn on Kyle and go to Terrence. Oh, okay. So if I'm reading what you're saying correctly, you're saying that Turner may realize that he also is low man on the totem pole in the after parties alliance, because it would go to Terrence, Turner, and then Kyle and Alyssa to the moon. And Turner is at least smart enough to, at least I perceive him to be smart enough to see that coming. Though right now I think he's like in love, this bromance love. I don't see, Turner is not thinking clearly, because he's making the same mistake that Terrence is making, which is thinking that he can infiltrate a showman's. Like, you can't beat love. It just doesn't happen. All right. And this is fresh love. Like, they're still in the honeymoon phase. In fact, they're pre-honeymoon because they haven't even been outside of the house. There is no way that Alyssa nor Kyle will, even for a second, consider taking Turner anywhere further than the other individual in that showman's. So Turner may just realize that and side with Terrence. I have to say that's a good point there. All right. Yeah, exactly. So there you have it. Now, moving on a little bit. You know what is the most important thing, in my opinion? The next HOH. Whoever wins the next HOH is going to pretty much dominate whatever it takes for, because it's 4-on-4. So you have to know that this next HOH is incredibly important. Now, there's a lot of variables here that must be considered. And that is the fact that Michael cannot play. We know that Michael has been an absolute machine when it comes to these competitions. Like I said, 6+ competitions under his belt, and it makes me and I have no doubt that he would have been a factor in the next one. But whoever wins the next HOH has control, and I am willing to say that whoever wins the HOH, whichever side of the house wins the next HOH on Sunday, one of those four will make it to the end or even win the game. So if yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that because look, at that point, that group, that side has the power, and they have the ability to take the first shot. That's it. Game over right there, right? So I feel that it's only prudent that I give my predictions because I don't like to play a scared game when I'm doing these episodes and these previews. I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to give you exactly what I think might take place. All right, bear with me here and let me know in the chat if you think I'm wrong about this, Dr. Juwan, and anybody else that just joined us. Let me know what you think about this. I think, in fact, I'll ask you first. Who wins the next HOH? Can't pick Michael. He's out. He can't win. He's already the HOH, and he's the exiting HOH, so he can't be the HOH again. So who wins the next HOH? All right, what you think? If After Party wins HOH, Monty is probably gone. Okay. All right, I'm gonna hold on to that. I'm gonna put a pin in that. If the Broteller group wins HOH, Kyle is probably gone. Okay. Personally, I think Kyle is going to be HOH. Okay. Here it is. I'm glad you said that, Dr. Juwan. I said in my notes, and I am not lying. You won't see this because the light is so bright. Where is it? Right there. There it is. HOH, Kyle. All right, so we're on the same page. I think that Kyle will be the next HOH. I said this a long time, and I'll say it again. I believe that every season, or at least I've seen every season, this has happened. One person in a showmance wins the HOH and therefore protects the other person. It happens all the time. It happened with Rachel and Brandon and all the other showmances you can think of. At least one time in a season, one of the individuals in the showmance protected the other. And I think we're about to see that happen. I'm not sure that Kyle's done this yet. So don't quote me on this. I believe that Kyle won his first HOH. I'm not sure if he's won another one. But I don't remember him winning HOH, so I'll say that with confidence. I think that Kyle will win Sunday's HOH competition. There you have it. I think it happens, folks. Listen, Kyle is due. Kyle is a physical threat. You know, I've always saw him for who he was. All right. When I first saw Kyle, remember, if you go back to week 1, week 2, when Kyle came into the house, you always was like, this guy's he's kind of built under these little, nerdy clothes. You can see the muscles of the pecs a little bit as he's walking around. And he's so dorky and so innocent. You don't really pay attention to his threat. But if you look closely, you'll say, hey, this guy is he's pretty built strong. He's pretty tough. Now, he hasn't shown it in competitions, more like i.e. Joseph. But that ain't the point. The point is, I think he's due for one. I said the same thing about Monty. Monty came in very, happy and floaty and stuff like that. And I said at some point, that physique, that strength, that height is going to matter. And I think the same thing is going to happen here with Kyle. I see Kyle winning the HOH. Why? Because the player that has the most to lose, the player that's most desperate, usually performs the best. Kyle knows that if he doesn't win, he's out of here. I think he knows that more than Monty does. All right. So I'm going to argue that Kyle will win the next HOH on Sunday. Straight like that. Okay. And if that happens, which I think is very possible, if it does happen, here's who I predict that Kyle will put on the block. I think he will put Taylor and Monty on the block. Okay. I think he will do that to save face with Michael because you never go with Michael straight up. That is a silly decision. What you do is you put Monty and Taylor on the block and you hope that Michael does not get picked to play in the veto because if he does play, he's going to win for crying out loud. Okay. Even Brittany could play in the veto and it'd be okay. But certainly not Michael. All right. I got Sergio. What's up, Sergio? Sergio is saying that Kyle will be the HOH. So we look like we agree on that. I think that definitely Kyle will win it. I think everybody is pretty much in the consensus is saying that Kyle will win. And speaking of Kyle winning, Sergio, Dr. Juwan, who do you think he puts up on Sunday? Who are his nominations? Like I said, I think it would be Taylor and Monty. I don't know what the reason is, except that he would not want to ruffle Michael's feathers by putting either Michael up or Brittany. So that is my reasoning. All right. I think he puts up Monty and Taylor with 8. Now, here's the caveat. Here's my caveat. I think, though he puts up Monty and Taylor on Sunday, his backdoor plan is Michael. Okay. There's no way that Michael makes it past a Kyle HOH reign if everything goes according to Kyle's plan. I doubt very highly that Kyle puts Monty and Taylor up with the grand idea and plan to take out Monty. Though that is a good plan, everybody knows this in this house. You got to get Michael out eventually. We're in the top 8. If you don't do it now, you won't get opportunity moving forward, especially with Michael being able to play in the HOH competition after the next. So with that being said, I believe that he will target Monty and Taylor initially with a backdoor plan to get Michael out the game. Watch it. Watch it happen if Kyle wins HOH. I have no doubt about this. All right, here it is. I'm going over to the chat. Here we go. Personally, I think Kyle's going to win the HOH. Sergio says Kyle. Dr. Juan says Kyle only won 2 vetoes. Okay, thank you for pointing out. I did not know he even won vetoes. I knew he won them. I've seen them with my eyes. I probably even recapped on that episode, but it just didn't come back to me when I needed it to come back. So thank you for that. Sergio says Michael needs to be a backdoor. We agree on that, Sergio. There's just no such thing as putting Michael on the block and just he's sitting there festering. He has great relationships in the house, even with the after party. I would argue, here's my opinion, I would argue that Turner and Kyle value Michael even on the other side of the house more so than they do Terrence. Just call me crazy, but I think that's the truth right there, okay? Where else we at here? I remember seeing on the feeds that he would put up Monty and Michael. Okay, not a bad move, but in doing so, Kyle would be really taking a big risk because you got 2 monsters you got to battle against in the veto. I don't know if he has the confidence to do that, and I don't think he has the power to beat those 2 forces. Oh man, that'd be a good one though, certainly. And then I mean, if he does put up Michael and Monty, at least one of them goes home because let's say Michael wins the veto, he'll just replace that person with Taylor and Monty goes, in my opinion. So not a bad idea because then Michael would kind of I would say he would deneutralize Monty's strengths. Like if Monty goes in with Kyle, I think Monty could beat Kyle. But if Michael goes in against anybody in the house, I see Michael winning. So maybe it would be a smart idea to put Michael against Monty. Not a bad idea at all. But since he's in the after party, it's going to be Monty and Taylor. Sergio says Kyle would have no choice but to put exactly kind of that's how I see it. I don't like how Monty is still loyal to the leftovers. There's only 2 non-leftovers left, and they aren't comp threats. You know what? I'm kind of with you on that. And I would also throw in Joseph. It was really hard and difficult to watch him continue to protect Kyle and Turner before Terrence reveals the entire thing and what happened. I found that very hard to watch. And I have to say that, yeah, Monty appears to be making the exact same mistake. I have to agree with you on that one. I'm back over here. I don't like, okay, yes, I read that one. It's time to play the game and make moves. Exactly. Look, a lot of people, and by the way, Dr. Juwan says it's time to play the game and make moves. I don't like the fact that Kyle got so just destroyed for what he did. Listen, he's still in the game. And not only is he in the game, his showmaster's in the game. If you're playing the game or if you're watching the game in an unbiased fashion, you have to respect bold moves, right? Because what he did was he did what everybody else probably would do 1 week early. And by doing that, he also brought in a new member, Terrence. And hey, call me crazy, but I would argue that Terrence is more loyal to Kyle than Joseph would be. I think Kyle and Joseph, they were in the same alliance, but a lot of people would say that Joseph favored Monty over Kyle, right? So I think Terrence is like, and I think Terrence adores Kyle. I don't know why, I don't know what happened, but he seems to be that kind of player. He gravitates to people because remember, it wasn't long before he was in love with Daniel. So Terrence is like a mercenary. He's a free agent, and he latches on to whoever's at the top or at least close to the top of the totem pole. So yeah, I mean, how do you get upset with Kyle's move? He's brought in a very loyal person, someone who's probably, and dare I say, willing to go out on his sword before Kyle. It's almost like, hey, Terrence is a bulletproof vest for Kyle because Terrence is willing to go. He's willing to go with the showmance, which is a silly decision. So you have to argue that Terrence is blindly loyal to Kyle. So there you have it. If Michael goes next, I think Kyle will go to the end, in my opinion. That's a great point. I don't want to go that far because I just don't want to see Michael go. I don't want to imagine him out the game. That's the only person that's still having the game that I picked to win from the beginning. If anybody doesn't know, I picked Pooch to win, and then Michael was a backup. Pooch got eliminated so quick because he was too macho. I didn't and I always pick before they talk, before just off of how they look. And Pooch looked like a strategic player. And then when I heard him talk, I was like, bad pick. And then same thing with Michael. So I just don't want to imagine Michael leaving, because I think that's when the show will get a little boring for me. I don't know who I would root for at that point. But yeah, it's possible. I mean, the guy's playing a heck of a game. You can't imagine a scenario where he stays too long unless he wins everything. I respect Kyle's game a lot. He had to sacrifice his leftovers alliance to keep himself. If Kyle wins this game, he will be remembered. Okay, a lot of players, they win the game, they kind of go off into the sunset because they won competitions. And if Kyle wins, he's going to be remembered. He played a game that was as infamous as Paul's game. Now, Paul got to the end and didn't win, and I would imagine that Kyle doesn't win this game. Listen, he's rubbed too many people the wrong way. And most of the people in the jury will be there as a detriment to what Kyle has done. If you get the leftovers out, if Kyle was successful in taking out Michael, and Michael is very influential, if he takes out Brittany and Taylor, they're going to be gunning for Kyle on that last day when they're asking their questions. I don't see a scenario where Kyle wins this game, but certainly it's very possible where he wins, without question. I have to agree with that, Dr. Jawan. All right, people don't realize that they aren't supposed to be playing the game to help each other, but to help further their own games. Exactly. They can't split the money. They can't split the money. And this is why Kyle's move is genius, because listen, he's hedging his bets. Either, by making a Hail Mary play like that, look, he can only go up. Think about it, at least from this point, because when he first does it, I'm not sure I'm on board, but certainly things look brighter now. He has shown his girlfriend, now that's his girlfriend, he's shown her that he's willing to sacrifice his game for her. So even if he gets evicted, he's probably found a wife. Listen, there's not much in the USA that's stronger than a big brother showmance. Most people who find love in this house, they go on to have like 5 kids. Seriously, go look at all the showmances. There's like 0 divorces amongst them. And they've all had like 25 kids per couple. It's insane. I mean, it's something about the house and being just latched to each other without internet, without TV, that creates a bond that's unbreakable. So he's probably found a lifelong partner. And look, the man's going to win no matter what. And don't dare let him win the money. Come on now. You got to respect that gameplay. All right, Joseph is going to end Kyle's game in the jury. Absolutely. I think that Joseph is definitely going to hold out a lot of anger. He's got to be stewing at this moment because he was evicted live. Remember that? So he has to be in his bed. He probably has tears in his eyes, for crying out loud. And who is he in there with? He's in there with Jasmine. Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, poor Joseph. All right. So here it is. So I think that I'm going to go back to my notes just a little bit. I think that Kyle will win the HOH. He'll put up Taylor and Monty with a backdoor option for Michael. And I think I'm going to go as far as the veto. I'm just going to keep going because I'm not afraid to make big moves here. So when it comes to the veto, I'm going really far in this game. All right. I think Turner wins the veto. Okay. I think Turner wins the veto under Kyle's HOH reign. And what does he do with the veto? I'm going really far out here. I think he's going to keep the nominations the same. All right. I think that Turner will try to save face with Michael. And I know that goes against what I just said. I know it does. I wrote these notes prior to what I actually said. And I'm not sure why would I think that Turner would keep. Why did I think previously that Turner would keep the nominations the same? Okay, maybe I thought that because I would say Turner wouldn't want to necessarily do the dirty work for Kyle. Though Kyle would want Michael out, I'm not sure that Turner would do that for him. I don't understand neither Turner or Terrence's game. I don't understand their gameplay. Okay, they always do the opposite of what I think they're going to do. So in this case, I'm going to stick with what I wrote down. I'm not that kind of person that makes a decision and tries to change it. So I think Turner wins the veto and he keeps his nominations the same, and Monty is evicted. That is my prediction moving forward. And even I'm questioning why, if Turner won the veto, why he wouldn't take Taylor down and put up Michael, and then Michael and Monty can battle it out. I don't know. I'm questioning why I didn't think that initially, but I'm going to go with my initial pick. Perhaps Turner doesn't do the dirty work for Kyle. Okay. So that's what I have to say for this episode. I'm going to go right back to the chat real quick. Kyle probably loses to everyone sitting next to him in the end. So Kyle probably takes Alyssa to oh yeah. So he technically wins. That's a good point. Good point. Right. But that's, you know what? I would be willing to say that I would vote for Alyssa if Alyssa got to the end, because I would not understand how she did that. Because from this point, she's in the top 8. For Alyssa to get to the end, here's the players that she would have to get past. And for me, it would forever change how I viewed this game. It's not about competitions. It's not about wins. It's not even about social game. It's about something else that I can't figure out. All right. She would have to get past Michael. She would have to get past Taylor. She had to get past Brittany, who's basically a conduit, or a extension of Michael. She would have to get past Monty. She would have to get past Terrence. And I don't know where Terrence goes from here. He's either going to go straight to the bottom or he's going to continue on this path that he's at. I never understand his game. I don't know what happens. Turner, she has to get past Turner. So for Alyssa to get past those mega players, I would argue that she had, I'm voting her over Kyle, because she did what Kyle did without the backstabbing. And I think that's just good enough to get her the win, in my opinion. All right. Here we go. Turner will do what Kyle says during his reign. Turner has said that Kyle and Alyssa are his best friends in the house and wouldn't go to betray. You know what? Like I said, I wrote this prior to spewing it out. And as I'm talking, I'm realizing how wrong I think this is. And again, it's hypothetical, so I'm not worried about it. I'm not afraid to make big moves here. This is, for all we know, Kyle may not win. It could be Taylor, right? But anyway, you might be right about that. If Kyle were to win, if Turner were to win the veto competition, Michael's going up. Come on. It's not even a question. So we'll see. But I'm going to end that because it's 12:01 and I'm sleepy. And I talk about Big Brother. I'm not even getting paid for this, for crying out loud. But anyway, I appreciate the amazing people for joining me. Dr. Juwan, Sergio, thank you so much. And Sunday will be a great day, a great game of Big Brother for sure. And I will be right here after those episodes, or that episode concludes, to give my feedback and my views on it and my reactions. Thank you to the amazing people. Be blessed out there. Wait a minute. Got somebody else here. Just Sonya putting God first. Hey, God always first, baby. I'm with you on that one. But here we go. Let me read this before I go. Hoping Monty, Taylor, Brittany wins HOH. Put up Kyle and Terrence and backdoor Alyssa. All right. Okay, Sonya, you trying to keep me up. You're trying to keep me up. So I got to ask this question. You apparently, if you want to backdoor Alyssa, you don't like her, and I need to know why. Okay, and I know why. The people I've talked to, why they don't like Alyssa, but I would like to know why you don't, because that just gives me more understanding of how everyone's seeing the game. Okay, so if you're still there, you got to let me know why Monty, Taylor, or Brittany would backdoor Alyssa. Okay, love the game talk. Just thank you, Sergio. This is my channel's a mess. I just a little bit of everything there, but certainly a lot of people have been rocking with me for the BB commentary, and I appreciate you all. And thank you so much for joining in and just kicking it with me. I appreciate that. It was great speaking to another Big Brother fan. Yes, a big fan. I love this game. And, it's great talking to you all as well, because otherwise I'll be doing this, with myself and just talking to myself on the camera. So it was awesome to have some people just kind of join in with me. But anyway, wait, hold up. Here we go. I want to break up the show, man. All right, so Sonya is clearly not a fan of showmances. And you know what? I get that. I didn't realize that was the actual target. So it makes me wonder, why backdoor Alyssa when you can get Kyle out? So that was that's my backup question, or my secondary question. If you want to break up the showmance, why do you favor the removal of Alyssa over Kyle? And I'm only asking that question because I would like to know. I have no reasoning for asking that question other than just want to know your philosophy on the game. But breaking up the showmance is obviously a smart thing. The house is not, but this is crazy. This is one of the first seasons where, no, I'm not, I'm lying. I'm living in the moment. Certainly not the first season, but one of the only seasons where showmance is just not taken seriously. It's almost like these players haven't seen prior seasons. The showmances are very dangerous, very dangerous. And the last showmance that I remember that was even worth talking about, like I said, was Brandon and Rachel. And those players absolutely destroyed Brandon. Rachel ended up winning the season, but, they took Brandon out, right? So the fact that a showmance has made it to the top 8 is just baffling to me. I can't understand it, seriously. All right, Dr. Juwan, I kind of agree with Sonya. Getting Alyssa out would allow Kyle's game to expand, not have a girl affect him. Okay, all right, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah. And then at least if Alyssa or Kyle were to leave, they could definitely do some damage control in the jury. Yeah. Okay. I'm following. All right. I can follow that. All right, folks. Great talk. I'm gonna go ahead and stop here. You got things to do too, I'm sure. But I will see you on Sunday if you choose to join me. It's been a blessing. God bless everyone and have a wonderful day. Peace.